Alright, now that we got our bottom piece done, the next step in our door is we want to get enough of these pieces of wood, Mr. Reinwald, to put the big piece down here and stack these one right after another. Enough of them to reach all the way out. Enough to reach all the way out to this. Alright, we're back. Now, since you have all the pieces and you've got them laid out, you really want to go over things and check. Like this one, you can see has a pretty good crack in it, plus there's a good warp in it. I wouldn't want to use that piece because it wouldn't look good. Okay, next thing I see with this bunch is this one right here is a thicker piece. We try to get everything even, but sometimes you don't. Okay, so I have another one right here I know is a little bit warped, so I'd want to clean all these up. Or is it this one? Let's try this one this way, see what happens. Yeah, this is the bad one. Let's get rid of it. You want a good result, you want to check any big knots. Okay, now we're starting to look pretty good. If a big knot, just tweak it a little bit. Don't crank on it, but tweak it a little bit. Make sure it's strong. Okay, if it can handle a little bit of tweaking, it should be good to go. And the rest looks good. Okay, this is a good time to practice, because when you glue it together, you want to make sure you put everything on the same side and everything straight down. So this is a good time to practice. Before you get gluing though, oh, here's another bad one with a big crack. Okay, you'd want to take some sandpaper by hand and really sand everything, make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, things I see through the years with kids, like this piece here, I can see and feel vibrations in the wood from a jointer or a planer. You want to make sure to get those sanded out. A lot of times I will see saw marks from the table saw where it was ripped. Okay, you want to make sure those are all out, that they're all nice and clean. The bottom, you don't need to worry about. But the sides and everything else, yeah, you want them all nice and clean, so that everything is good and we're good to go. You might even, look at your wood, and if you have some character to it, you might want to line it out in some kind of design pattern, whichever you would like. Okay, so that has that covered. Just a second, and I'll come back with what to do next. Okay, now you got all your pieces sanded. You picked up a piece of fabric from Mr. Reinwald. You picked up a putty knife that you're going to wash just right away when you get done, and you've got some glue. So now you want to put a thin coat of glue over this entire surface. Every little 32nd of an inch should have a thin coat of glue. Not a thick glob, but a thin coat. If you leave a big bare spot of fabric, that fabric is just going to flop around and do zero good. You want every little bit of grip you can get to hold these slats in place. So, discussing, I put this down here so I could do a little example on a couple of my waste pieces. I was saying we want a thin coat of glue. Okay, so if you do a heavy coat of glue, something like that, and you put your pieces down, push them down tight. I don't know if you can see that. Let's drop this down lower real quick. Yeah, see how it has pushed that glue up in between? That's going to seize those solid, and it's not going to let them flex. Okay, so we need each one of those to freely flex the way it's supposed to. So that is not going to work. That's why you need a thin coat of glue all the way. Okay, if you have a spot that is a little bit heavy, like you can still see right there is a little bit heavy, with a clean putty knife, kind of hold your piece down, you can take and kind of push that glue back away from where that seam is going to be, so hopefully you can get a clean seam. Alright, so let's glue this up for real now. Make sure we're in the right spot here. Let's move our Alright, so like I said, we want to put a thin coat of glue, so I'm just going to start kind of light, and where I need more, I'll put it. It's easier to always put more glue out, but it's hard to put it back in, so you don't want to get too carried away. The easiest is kind of start in the center and work your way to the outsides. You can see got this edge pretty good, a little bit light over here, still a little bit light down here on this edge. A little bit light out here. There we go. Getting where I'm happy. A little bit heavy there. Not too bad though. Alright, there we go. It's looking good. Alright, so as soon as we have our full coat, you want to real quick wash your hands, because you don't want to get glue all over your pieces of wood. That looks terrible if you do. Alright, my hands are washed and I'm right back to the program in less than probably 30 seconds. Alright, so we're going to go back to our pattern here. Going to carefully take the material. Make sure we're as centered as we can, and we want to go about 1/4 of an inch, not much more, not much at all, about 1/4 of an inch. If your fabric goes past that line any, you can actually come down a little bit closer, and pretty even on the sides. Alright, your pieces should now all be clean. You're going to choose a side, right or left, and put all your pieces. So I'm going to choose on my left, put it down tight, push it down. The very first piece wants to kind of tuck under, and we don't want it to. So we're going to have to make sure we're tight and just take it straight down, push it down tight. We're not getting any glue bubbling up, so we're good. I'm going to keep a hold of that. Put my piece tight to it, and just keep walking along like that real quick. There we got a little bit of a gap. Let's see if we can. Alright, we should be good. Oop. Tight. And just keep after the program. You can see right there we do have just a teeny bit bubbling up, so I'm going to wipe that back away from where my edge is going to be. And we're almost there. It's not a bad idea to have a piece of scrap. We've got several old sides that kids have messed up on that you could set down on this to put weight on it. Make sure you put your name down on the bottom in pencil that later you're going to sand off, and you'll be ready to go.